Okay, anybody have a early question? Besides the 1 point that you get for the Zoom credit, why do you want to be here today? Bill?
For you.
Well, I hope it's you can review. I think that's the word. It came across broken. I'll first, of course, tell you what you need to review. I've already done it once. I've already put it on tape. It's there on the 30th of November's tape. If you ever need to look at it, and it'll be on today's tape as well. So what to study is probably the most important thing. Actually, I hope it's the week off that we just had, and studying for L3, which is past now, you actually got quite a bit of studying already under your belt. Okay, so last chance for some general questions here, if you got any. Otherwise, I'll share the screen and just go over what I have. This meeting can be as short or as long as you individually want it to be. You're here. You're going to get credit for today. Okay. But when you feel that, yeah, that's what I thought he'd say. That's what I thought he'd say. It's nothing new to me. When you get to that point, if you get to that point, feel free to exit and you'll be counted, okay, for today, okay? My guess, I was talking to somebody a few minutes ago. My guess is that we wouldn't be here more than an hour. We can be here all day, but my guess is an hour. Okay, so no questions? It's moving faster today. I'm going down to week 11, I believe. Let's see. No, week 10. I'll start at week 10 with you. This is probably going to be my last Zoom lecture, if you want to call it that, or Zoom meeting. Hopefully ever. I don't particularly like them. It's better than nothing, that's for sure. But we go back to face, and I'll go onto campus in January, and hope we don't have to come back to this myself. Okay, week 10. There's nothing here for you except to point out that the integumentary system was previously indented. That was because it was for lecture test number 3, which we've already taken last week. So it's been pushed back to the left. Okay, so this is not something that you have to particularly study to do the last 2 tests. The final, which is L4, and P4, practicum 4. Okay. So there's nothing really here to worry about in week 10. Week 11, there is the first one on 11.2, the histology study guide. The histology study guide, this guy here, okay, needed to be filled in by you with definitions and functions. Okay. It would have been good to have also put in text page, but that was for your reference so that you could go back to something. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the D's and the F's being filled in. I have not received this yet from everybody. In fact, I've only received it from half of the class. Needs to be in by 12 o'clock on Thursday, 2 hours before the practicum. And you'll need the information that's on it anyway for the practicum itself. You need it in your head. If you have to go and look up answers, and you have this piece of paper with you, it could take you all day to try to finish that test. So you want this to be in your mind. Also, what else do you need to turn in by 12 o'clock on the day of the practicum? You need chapter outlines for 16 and 17, and the endocrine and histology practice page, which I'll come to in just a moment. Those 4 things. Now, there was a 5th thing that was to do all of the practice quizzes, but everybody has done all of the practice quizzes as far as I can see. So that's great. That's out of the way. And okay, here's where we were. Histology study guide. Yes, you need, that's so important to this practical examination. Okay. Recordings, if you want to review things. Nothing here indented. Our next indented item is the handout for the organ systems. There are actually going to be 2 of those. Here's another part down here. And these are for the lab. This one was for lecture and lab, but we don't care about the lecture part now. We care about the lab. So you want to study this, and also the one after it, 3 in a row for the lab. All of the material that's going to be asked in the lab is included in these links, in these text links and images that are provided and labeled for you. Everything is there. I was asked earlier today, what chapters of the book do I need to read? No, you read them already. You read 16, you read 17, you should have anyway by now, and you outlined 16 and 17. Don't reread chapters, go to your beautiful outlines. If you didn't do a beautiful outline, well, then you sort of screwed yourself. Okay? But if you did a fairly decent outline, you can just read the outline and get it over with in just a few minutes. And okay, so you do not need to reread chapters. I'm not delving back into the large textbook to get questions for this exam. Come on down. Here's the other organ system. Okay, there's actually 3 parts. One without a number, then the next one's numbered part 1 and part 2. And then there's a tissue part 2, as there was a tissue part 1. These indented 5 things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in week 13 are all going to be incorporated into P4. The web page link is there just if you want it. You do need to know the cranial nerves by their Roman numeral. They're listed here in a link. You can get them from the book, but this is much quicker. I will ask about 5, I believe, questions on the cranial nerves. For instance, an easy one, what's cranial nerve number 1? And you would look at the common answers. and pick it out. Cranial nerve number one is the olfactory nerve. Okay. The endocrine system's been scooted back to the beginning because it was strictly lecture material, and we covered that last week. But you do need to pay attention to additional models for P4 or lab. They're labeled. The histology photos is the key to the photographs that I have on my website. Some of them, well, whether it comes from me or it comes from the internet or whatever, some of the photos are great, some of the photos are not as great. Okay? But they all lend themselves to easy identification if you know the material. In looking at photos, you need to be able to name a couple things about the photo because you don't know what you're going to get asked. Name the structure. That's the most frequent. What's the function of that? Or what's the function of the structure inside of the structure? So if you got, well, for instance, pancreas, name the organ, pancreas, name this light-colored globular area inside the pancreas. Maybe my description verbally isn't very good, but the picture would show the islet of Langerhans to you. And then what's the function of the final structure that we just labeled? And that would be to produce hormones, specifically glucagon and insulin. So you want to ask yourself questions, even though they're basic. For instance, the pancreas, what system of the body is the pancreas in? Well, two systems. It's endocrine system, and it's part of the digestive system as an accessory organ. Okay. What kind of cells surround the islets of Langerhans? Those are the pancreatic acinar cells that produce pancreatic amylase. So as much as you can say about it, the better it's going to be when you might possibly get asked just exactly that question on the practical. I'm not trying to scare anybody here. Okay. When I look at the histology myself, maybe I'm a little bit weird, but it's relaxing to me. It's very relaxing, and things start to fall together. Begin to understand it, and it feels good. Looking down, no more, no more, no more. But then the last four things. This is the histology and endocrine practice guide, which is good for lecture and lab. It asks you questions that could be asked in lab. That's what you're interested in. But it's also got to be turned in. This is due by next Thursday noon, due by P4. P4 is actually at 2 o'clock, but I don't want you to be working on this in your last 2 hours of cramming, or smarter, last 2 hours of relaxing if you can. I think you do better on a test when you go in calmly. The answers to this are right under it. Okay. So in turning it in, you can't just send me both of these. Print out, if you can, the first one, and then fill it out. Even copying the answers by hand from the answer link right below it. And then either take a picture of your work and send it to me, or if you have the ability to scan it, make a PDF, probably easier, probably faster, probably neater. Get it to me. You've all gotten stuff to me. whether it's been by email, attachments, scanning, or photographs. I seem to have gotten everything. Okay. And then we come back down here to the practice final exam. I'll come back to that in just a moment. And other things that are not indented. This next indentation, all of the terms of the final, yeah, all of the terms of the final exam. Okay. Okay, let's for a moment get the easy one out of the way. And I figure it is the easier one. The final exam. Now the lab exam is going to start at 2 o'clock. Okay. The lab exam has 80 minutes. All of our lab exams have had 80 minutes. A lot of you don't use 80 minutes. Some use as few as a half an hour, but many, double checking and such, use the full 80 minutes. That's fine. When you finish the exam, the P4 exam, when you finish the P4 exam, you can back out because you've submitted the exam. You can wait for a second or two to see your score if you want. Added to that score will be your Zoom credit. I can't determine how much that's going to be until I've added it all up, including today, and I'll have it posted for you on Thursday before the exam. I don't have a, when I'm recording, it, let me take a look. Okay, it doesn't give me a mute all button, and I got some background coming out. So would you please check that you're muted? Okay, unless you want to ask a question, of course. Otherwise, I've got to back out of this and mute everybody that way. Okay, I was talking about the exam times, 2 o'clock for the practical exam. When you finish, no later than 80 minutes later, so you could come in just a minute or two late, that's fine. You'll still have time to finish. The exam will close at 3:30, however, that's 90 minutes. It'll close up on you, and that'll be the end of it. So please try to start right on time on this exam. Okay, I know I've been tried to be liberal on earlier ones, but this one back to back doesn't quite work. Now, you finished the exam, you submitted the test, maybe even recorded your score. You can see it again later. And back out to the modules, and then go down to the bottom of the page. Here is practicum 4, 2 o'clock. And then after you finish practicum 4, you back out of the modules and you go to the final exam and take it. Okay, so you can do them back to back. If you need a break, you could take a short break, 10 minutes or so before you begin. Okay, that's fine. Now, right now, if you go to your own computer, when I release the screen, you'll only see practicum 4 listed. The final exam is not going to be listed until after everybody has started on Thursday, or I think everybody started. And while you're taking P4, I'll show the final exam. So it'll be there when you're finished. It'll be there, and you can take it. Remember that the final exam is only 50 questions, but worth 100 points. You have 1 hour for that test, which is actually more time per question than a 100-question test with 80 minutes. This is a 50-question test with 60 minutes. Come out better off, actually. Any questions here on our timing? Okay, now the terms for L4. You've seen this before, but I've changed the shape of it. Okay, here are the terms. No color, all equal. And these were terms that you'll find in the lecture notes that I provided you. If you listen to any of the tapes, God forbid, you listen to them again, all of these terms are in those tapes. If you took halfway decent outlines, notes, these terms, most of them at least anyway, would have made it into your outlines. So you need to know these terms, what they basically mean. You don't have to write a textbook definition for them. You're going to be asked a question, and one of the terms here is going to be the answer. Well, we don't put all of the terms out. We ask the question, and then we pick out 5 of the terms. And you pick the correct one. Okay, so if you know the basic meaning or gist of these terms, you shouldn't have a lot of difficulty filling out the 50 questions. In the past, do people actually not have difficulty, like I'm saying, or have difficulty? Unfortunately, there's both types of people. Okay, and some people just don't review, don't remember anything from the past. Well, the answer to that is go back and look it over. Okay, but other people have no problem whatsoever with it. In looking at a typical question, practice final. Now, this is a paper final, not one that could be done on Canvas. Yours is going to be done on Canvas. Which of the following is a fibrous synarthrotic joint? Okay, fibrous, first row, synarthrotic. That's immovable. So I'm at first looking for, in my mind, suture, but I don't find it. But there's Gomphosis, and that will work. That will work. A syndesmosis is a slightly movable joint and cannot be a synarthrotic, which is an immovable joint. So that's out. A synchondrosis is made of cartilage. This is made, the question asks for fibrous. That's out. A symphysis is a slightly movable joint. Okay, it's a fibrous, it's a cartilaginous, slightly movable joint. And that cannot be because we're looking for a synarthrotic joint. The Gomphosis fits the bill. Synovial, of course, does not. So these kind of questions here slow you down for a moment, whereas others you speed right through. You have to do a little thinking here, and but the other questions make up for it. Never had anybody time out on this exam. joints between vertebra are. Now I'm going to try to answer that without looking at the possible answers. Well, of course, I should be able to do it, but they're symphyses. But that's not one of the answers again. Well, symphysis is the name, but they're also slightly movable. So they're amphiarthrotic. Go down, you'll see it changes from the bones to the muscles to the digestive system. Goes right through the lectures that we've had. I take a question or word a question, skip about 8, do another one, skip about 8 of those terms, do another one, and another one. Okay. Until I've reached 50. By the time I reach 50, I hope I've covered the class. Sometimes I have missed something and I end up putting it back in here, like number 50 itself was not at the very end of the class. Formed elements include all of the following except. So we're looking for a non-formed element, something that's not physical, solid. Red blood cell, solid. Neutrophils, solid. Monocytes, solid. Platelets, solid. Plasma, not. That's the answer. The overall grade on these last two tests comes out to be the lowest of all of the 8 tests we took. But again, don't let that scare you. Some people score their best here because they have to. They're trying their best to get over the line and get that higher grade. But other people have already got the higher grade. They have amassed so many points in the rest of the course that they just take it easy. And they allow themselves to get a low score because it doesn't mean anything to them. So that brings down the average for the test itself. Other people do not have enough points possible to make the next higher grade, but they have plenty to keep the grade that they're at. So they don't try either. Okay, it's a shame, and maybe it's a function of the way I've set up the test. But some people will score low because they can't get enough points, and some people will score low because they don't need any more points. And a few people will score low for what I call burnout. Don't let that happen. Don't let that happen to you. You don't want to burn out. You only got one more test to take, then you're done. Okay. Okay, on the final examination, I told you a moment ago, and I've been telling you all along, that there are 50 questions. Well, I got told yesterday that there's going to be a few more. And these are what we call our self-gauging questions, our SLOs, student learning outcome questions, testing ourselves, testing anatomy as to whether or not the students are getting it. These questions, I think they number 6 questions, will be at the bottom of the test. I'll add a line. You'll be able to tell which they are. I'll make sure of that. And they are on integumentary system and couple of questions on the bones and articulations that we just did. Questions that actually you would know, but these were developed by another instructor. So there's always one that I didn't cover, and you wouldn't know it. Okay. I am not going to be grading down on these. I need you to answer them so that we can see how well we're doing. I may reword them though to put my vocabulary in place, because some of them are really weird. But there's 6 questions at the end of the test that will not affect your grade. I am going to be thinking between now and the test in 2 days. If you get so many of those 6 correct, say 3 or more, that's what I'm thinking of right now. If you happen to get them correct, although I haven't told you what they are, we studied it, then I'll throw in another point for you. Okay. Not that 1 point ever means much, but it seems to get people here. So those 6 questions can only help you. They cannot hurt you whatsoever. Okay. But please, I do need you to answer them. I have to turn in a tally. Usually our class does so well on these pop questions, I'd call them, that they come around to me and say, did you fudge these answers or anything like that? No way. Don't need to. Students know it. Then they wonder why their students don't know it. Only in some cases. Some of the instructors are really, really sharp. Okay, now I've got you back on screen for just a second. Do you have any questions about lecture test? What do you need to know about lab test, other than the fact that all of the answers are included in the indented lab material that I pointed out? I didn't open it up for you. I can. How many of you, if you don't mind me asking, are consider that you're on a borderline situation, that you got to do well on Thursday? How many of you got a grade locked in? I see a few of those. Okay. Are you cooking, Sasha?
Yeah, I just moved. I haven't cooked for my kids in like 2 weeks. It's all been takeout. So I'm trying to give them a good spaghetti meal tonight.
Okay. I'll tell you, the rest of these hungry people that I'm looking at, they're always eating. They're always eating while we're talking.
I'm always eating too. Yeah.
Okay, back to everybody. What do you want me to do to help you? No, it's not my place to say, this is how I'm going to help you. You know, I could pick out something. I think I've already done that. But if if you need to feel more comfortable or whatever about the material, I can probably help you there. What do you need? Anything? Well, if that's going to be the consensus, I'll see you Thursday. There's no need for me hanging around.
So we don't see you at all on Thursday then? It's just
You'll
the
never see me again. This is it.
Oh, so final.
Uh-huh.
Well, thank you so much for everything. We'll be in touch.
Oh, I'll get a lot of emails after the test. Unfortunately, they'll be asking me for more points for free, and they won't get them. I hate that. It's not my personality to turn people down. I'd rather help them, but I'm not giving out more free points, that's for sure. So please, earn your points, think clearly on the test, get a good night's sleep ahead of it. That's my best advice.
Charlie, one question before
Yes.
you go. You know the physio teachers by chance or no?
The what teacher?
The physio teachers for the next class after this?
I know some
Like
of them.
Shaw. Do you know Shaw?
No, I've never met her.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Never.
I was gonna ask you. I wish you taught the next two classes I needed.
I don't. and there are some students, not you now, that I don't want to have following me through 3 classes. I've had some crazy students in my time. You've had some crazy teachers too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Well, I appreciate your time, and you're a teacher that I really understood. So thank you.
Well, say that after the test on Thursday. It'll mean
Uh-oh.
more.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Charlie,
Yep.
is our discussion grade going to mirror our lecture grade, or is that
You're gonna all get A's. How about that?
okay?
Okay. I told you when you started, it's an easy A. How much easier? You did your outlines, okay? That's what counted them. And I'll turn that in. And there's one person I should say that is going to get a B, okay, because I didn't get any outlines at all from that person. Okay.
At the end of the semester,
thank
will
you,
you send
Charlie.
us like, oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. At the end of the semester, will you send us like our grades, like individually what we each got? Or will we
Not
have to
individually. Hang on.
Okay.
Just a second. That's what I'm going to send you. Okay, can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's your number. L1, 2, 3, waiting for L4.
Mm-hmm.
P1, 2, 3, waiting for P4. And the extra credit, the Zoom credit will be added into that. That's what this space is over here for me to calculate the Zoom credit. Okay, and the grade itself, it will say A, B, whatever it has to say over here. And if you think I've made a mistake, don't be afraid. You people aren't anyway, but I'll say it. Don't be afraid to email me immediately and say, hey, I think I got a different score on lecture test number 2, for instance. Would you please check that? And okay, but this is what I'm going to send. I have blocked your ability to see your grades on Canvas because they will be lower. They will be lower. They're not accurate, not reflect what I'm going to turn in.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, then. I'm out of here. How about you?
Thank you, Charlie.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Email me if you need to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Charlie?
Yes.
Sorry, I chimed in a little late. I'm not sure if you went over P4, but is it mostly histology questions, like 50% or more?
33% is histology.
Oh, okay.
66% are organs. The
Okay.
models.
Oh, the
of
models. Okay.
Yeah, the ovary, for instance, the pancreas, the large intestine and stuff like that.
Okay,
So it's all in those indented items that say lab.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.